Part 2 with Jase and Maher, continuing on after the Suffolk Cup final with Long Melford.
At the end of that cup final, Jase, did you do another year? Or
no, at the end I sort of made my mind up in the February that I thought I was going to pursue some other opportunities. You know,
is that because you think you can no longer it's like getting to a cup final is probably going to be the pinnacle there?
Yeah, I thought so. And I was ambitious, and then so I decided at the end of the year I was going to go, and I had a couple of months off, and then I got a chance with a guy called Richard Daniels, who was the Galston manager, who had become friendly with me over the couple of years. He called me in sort of November and said, like, what are you doing? I was working in London.
Where's that, Galston?
Yeah, so he was the Galston manager, but he'd left there to go and be the disc manager. Right. And he rang me and said, look, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm not doing nothing. He said, do you fancy doing something with me? I was like, well, where is it? He was like, this. And I was like, this? I'm working in London, you must be mad. And then I looked on the train from Stratford. It was like only an hour and 15 minutes. And I
went. Where did you live in? Chelmsford?
I was in Chelmsford, yeah. So Richard Upson was the chairman, Matty Upson's dad. And we went and met him. And he basically said, look, we're going to be relegated. We need a miracle stay up.
Yeah.
Like, can you come in and help us? Like, I think you two could do it. So we went in, we were like 10 points adrift. Everybody said, like, you're going to be relegated. And we kept them up. Like 2 games to go, beat Thetford at home and stay up.
And Regions again?
Regions playing. We were dead and buried. We were like 10 points adrift of second to bottom and probably 15 points. But we went on a crazy run where we won 8 out of 9. We literally replaced the whole squad. Okay. And we stayed up. And I'd always said to him, look, I'll do
more of a budget there though, or again?
More of a budget. It weren't massive, but he was well respected in the local area. He knew what he was doing. I'd done all the training.
And where were Long Melford at this time? Still in the same league?
Same league. Right. So luckily we didn't have to play them, which was quite good. But we kept them up. Obviously, I was never going to stay there a long time. It's miles, Christian. But it was very good. It was a different role, different kind of pressure. I learned a lot in that period there that I took forward in me.
I remember playing there in the FA Cup. It's where my granddad was born, actually, before he moved to the East End. It's like a big stand again.
Big stand.
Orange?
Orange,
I remember playing there in the FA Cup once. I've got a vague memory of it somewhere.
And it was, and we done really well. We started to get a bit of noise, and a lot of people sort of started maybe taking notice, and oh, who's this guy? And it was quite a lot often reported that I was travelling a long way. Like people at the club are like, bloody hell, you're mad, you're coming here for like 30 quid, it must be costing you a fortune. I was like, yeah, I know, but I like football. I loved working with Lugsy, top bloke. I learned a lot, he's very experienced, won a lot of trophies. And then I think it was in about the April time, I got a call from Colin Wallen, who I'd known for a long time. He tried to sign me at Burnham when I was in the army. And he said to me, look, you're going to start this next year? I was like, straight away, no, I'm not staying. He was like, oh, why? I was like, look, it's too far, I'm living in London, it just don't work. Like, it's not going to be no longevity in it. I want to try and find something. He was like, look, Saffron Walden manager, as you know. And I was like, yeah, I know. And he was like, look, I'm going to America next year to live.
Yeah.
Stuart Wardley's the manager.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I knew Wardley. Yeah. He said, like, why don't you come in? Ward's was still playing there, be his assistant. And then when I go, you two can do it together. Me and Wardley had a couple of meetings and it kind of fitted. So, and it was weird.
Colin.
Yeah, a top bloke, Colin. Lovely guy, very experienced, proper old school. Lovely bloke. I used to travel in with him. I'd pick him up one week, he'd drive the following week. We'd travel into games together.
I played one game for him once, Jase. I just won the league at Aveley. Decided that I was going to go back local. Went back to Harlow, and it was during that summer that they had a bit of struggle about the club. So about 2 weeks before the season, chairman pulled all his money out. Obviously, going bankrupt, whatever. Colin called me and was like, I'm manager of Tiptree. Didn't drive at the time. He was like, I think they'd done well in the Vase.
Yeah, they got to the Vase final.
So they were paying really good money, and I was like, there was a couple of boys from Harlow that had just been released to Southend that were going there, so you could get a lift with them. And I remember they played at a Denser. You might know a Denser from Denmark.
Yeah.
It was like, look, we've got this lovely pitch in the middle of Tiptree. We're playing a Denser, like the Danish champions pre-season. So come and play, mate. I waited for these boys to pick me up in Old Harlow. It felt like it took me 2 weeks to get there. And he's paying good money. Unbelievable. I think we lost about 7-0 or whatever it was. But I I felt bad, but I was like, Colin, I cannot do that 3 times a week. It was just a lovely man, right?
Yeah.
Proper football man.
Proper football man. Was he the manager then, and he was going to pass it over? Yeah, right, so it already been decided that Wardy was going to step up as the manager.
Yeah, because that's where he started. Yeah, right? Yeah.
So he was going to Arizona. Right. Me and Sticko got on really well.
He was going to Arizona, was he? What,
Colin was going out there to coach at like a big university. And it was really good. And it was weird because when I'd been Long Melford manager, a couple of times we'd gone to Saffron Walden and rolled them over. Right. Okay. And I remember one game we rolled them over, I think 4-1. Right. Absolutely smashed them at their place, and their supporters would give me loads of stick. Were they? And I remember after the game, I had a bit of a row with their president. Like he made some in the boardroom. Maybe I took it the wrong way. He made some comments about us as a club, which I considered to be derogatory. I think he basically said, "How can we be losing to that shit?" and stuff like that. And I didn't really like that. And Dorsey had words, and I remember when Colin rang me, I thought, "Cool, that's a proper club. This would be quite a good opportunity to get big crowds." So I thought, come in. And I remember on the first day I went in, I bumped into Dorsey, and I thought, and I suddenly remembered the argument we had. And I thought, this could be really awkward. Like, he's the club president, absolute legend there, been there for about 50 years, man and boy. And I thought, this is going to be really awkward. Yeah. But he didn't. He came straight over to me, shook hands, and he pretty much, I said, look, I'm really sorry for what I said. Like, and he literally just said to me, no problem. As long as you fight as hard for this club as you did for that club, we'll get on really well. And until he passed away, and obviously when me and Stixie we got promoted that first season, we was in charge, we should have won the league, to be honest, Christian. So did you say the first season you got promoted? So what was that? So Colin, we was in step 6. They went out of business. Yeah, they went out of business. And had to really start again. Yeah, so the first season of Colin, we finished about 5th. We was a little bit short. In Regions 1? Regions 1. And in the first season that me and Sticko took over, I think in about September, Craig Calver got released. Yeah, I remember, And obviously he's a Saffron Walden boy. Yeah. His dad had played for the club, his granddad played for the club, all of his mates played. Right. And I knew Craig from his little period at Chelmsford. Yeah. So, and Stixie knew him. So we went and met him, and we're basically like, what are you going to do? And he said, I'm going to play, but I don't know who for. And basically, we put a massive sales picture and said, look, come here. Like, how much can you pay? Well, we can't pay you. We got no money. We literally didn't. At that stage, we did not pay anybody. Right. Not for home games, not for away games, nothing. But we had. When they come back, Jase, was they getting a crowd like they do now? Yeah, we're getting. We played Haverhill in a couple of Derby games. We're getting 600-700 massive crowds, and we basically got all the boys to message Wig and say, Craig, say, look, come to Walden, it'd be really good. Yeah. And he came in and he looked and he thought, we've got to go see him. And he basically said at first, I'll come and play for a month. See how it goes. And his first game away at March, he got sent off. Right. For 2 dives. But we won, and he basically played, and we won like 7 on the bounce straight away at the beginning of the season. And he was like, he kind of enjoyed it. Loads of teams started coming in for him. But he sort of said, no, I'll give it till Christmas, see where we are. Did you find any dough for him, Joe? So weirdly, we didn't have any money that season. We literally did it at Christmas. I think Leader Market came in after we'd beaten them, and basically offered him like 100 quid. Yeah. And President Dorsey said, look, we don't want to lose him. Yeah. Like, we'll give him 50 quid. So he was like the only one that was getting paid. Now, a few of the other boys knew that he was getting paid, and it didn't really cause a problem because I think they identified, like, he's miles better than the level. He's a Walden boy. He's only getting 50 quid. Yeah. Pretty much we would get his money, the boys would peer pressure him in, going, look at you, big time, and then he'd go and get around him for everybody with the money that he'd been paid. Yeah. And we had such a great thing, like we'd in the group on a Saturday morning, somebody put, who's down for breakfast? Literally the whole squad lived in Walden, and we'd all go to breakfast together. I don't think in any sporting team environment you can't put a price on that season. I think was probably one of the most enjoyable. We went like 30 games in all competitions unbeaten. I think we kept like 12 clean sheets in a row, and we should have won the league that season. I think what happened was it only 1 up, Jase? No, it was 3 up. We did go up, but we didn't win it. Weirdly, Long Melford won it. Oh, did they? Yeah, and I think a crazy 10-minute spell. This is one you're talking about. A crazy spell around Christmas. Yeah. We started to get a bit of outside noise about the unbeaten run that we were on. And I remember we drew 3 games in a row and people were going, they're 16 unbeaten. But I remember speaking to Wardy going, Yeah, but we ain't won in 3.
Yeah.
And the suddenly started to become a little bit noise. There was loads of noise about it. And I don't think it was unhelpful. I think it was unhelpful. I remember we went to Long Melford away, top 2, and there was about 500 there. And I remember I go there and I got literally dog's abuse.
Yeah,
because I'd stepped down as a manager and I'd gone in somewhere as a number 2. You go back, you're going to get a bit of abuse. Nothing like out of order, but some abuse. We absolutely battered them for 70 minutes. We were 3-0 up. We were absolutely cruising. And then we give away a crazy goal. One of the boys went to do a back pass back to Floyd, got stuck in the mud. Their geezer got back to 3-1. And then they had a crazy 8-minute spell where they equalised.
Yeah.
And it kind of changed the momentum of the title race. They went and they then went and won, I think, 13 games in a row. And we ended up coming.
You deserve to win the league if you're doing things like that.
Yeah, I mean, and then crazy thing happened was last game of the season.
Yeah.
Yarmouth at home. We needed a point to win to go up.
Yeah.
They needed to win to go up.
Some travelling in that league.
Yeah, so we played them at home. I remember the game. Yarmouth were a really direct, bang it long. We was actually a really good passing side. I remember the pitch was like a road. I remember the club.
This is at home.
At home. I remember the club, because it's a real community club, Saffron Walden. Yeah. Wherever the fire brigade, they come down on the morning of the game and literally watered it for about an hour and a half.
Okay.
There was water everywhere. And we were down to, we played half an hour with 10 men. James Crane got sent off for booting somebody off the ball. We was 1-0 up, they equalised, and we hung on the last sort of 10 minutes to get 1-1. And I remember that night was probably one of the best nights out I've ever had. We went out into Walden, all in our tracksuits. Literally every bar we went in, people had been at the game.
Is there places to go in Walden?
Yeah, there was.
Back in the day, is there a bar called Traffic? Was there Traffic?
So we went out, and I promise you, Christian, we literally didn't pay for a drink all night. There was, the kickoff had to be laid like 3 times. There was like nearly 900 in for the game. It was great. It was probably even to this day one of the best nights out I've had with a group of boys who all cared about the club. We had boys in that squad. James Solcombe, Joe Murphy, Spike Bell, James Crane, Craig Calver, Chris Reed, Sean Davis, Jake Noble. Most of them boys played more than 450 games for the club. I mean, Spike Bell, 600 and
it's a lot of games.
Crazy amount of games. And we had boys that played there for 8, 9, 10 seasons. Mainly because it was their hometown club and they generally loved the club. You know, and it was irreplaceable.
So you won that league, Jason. What back up into
the Prem? I've done another year, and I didn't really like the direction the club was going. We was getting really big crowds in the Prem, but they weren't really showing ambition at all. We weren't getting. None of the boys were getting paid. I wasn't really worried about getting paid myself. That wasn't about but none of the boys were getting paid. Not even expenses to faking them that. We kept on finishing 8th, around 8th, which was decent. And then an opportunity to go to Bowers came up with obviously Rob Small, with Smallsy, and I went there. I think it was about the October.
What league were they in then? Was that?
They was in the Western Senior League, and probably one of the best seasons I've ever had.
Is that the season where they went on the Vase?
Yeah, we went on the Vase one.
So was that when you lost in the semi? Wasn't it?
Yeah, lost in the semi away at Morpeth. So I went back in. I went in. There was 2 assistants, me and Harry Stevens, Sister Smallsy.
Yeah,
he was a really good, mate. To be honest, I think hugely underrated manager. People probably don't realise how good he is unless you work with him. His attention to detail for a young guy, young manager, the things he'd done, and in that Vase one, intelligent lad, works in the city, intelligent lad, great for detail. Boys used to give him some stick because his team talks at that stage when he was obviously very young were really long, a lot of detail. And they used to and obviously a lot of them were his friends. But during that Vase
because that little group, they were all mates and played together for quite a while.
Yeah, but he really ruled the changing room with a right way. Yeah, they were mates, but they knew that he was the boss. Yeah, and he could be really ruthless. Yeah, I think if I'm honest, that Vase one was incredible. Some of the moments we had. We went away to Kidlington. I think we drove them at home on a worst pitch I've ever seen. At home. Remember the old Bowers pitch? Horrendous.
Mate.
And I remember going away to Kidlington and they said,
Where's Killington, Jase?
Like near Oxfordshire, we had to go there on a following Saturday, and they basically said, I remember their last parting shots were, we don't lose at home. They hadn't lost at home for like 15 months. Their pitch was nice. We went there, and obviously we had players that could play.
Yeah.
We had Luke Wilson, we had Lou Manor, we had Jamie Stevens, we had Jamie Salmon, we had Pevers. We had players that were good. We went there and we absolutely destroyed them. We got there. There was about 600 in the ground. With about 10 minutes to go, there was about 50 Bowers fans left. We'd absolutely smashed them 4-0.
What year was this, Jase?
It was weird. I'll tell you what year it was. I was thinking the other night, actually, to be fair. I was looking. It was 2016.
Right, okay.
And we got to the semi-final.
Morpeth,
Morpeth, and I mean...
Did you lose at their gap?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things...
Did you win at home or draw at home?
No, so there was...
second leg was at theirs, wasn't
there? Yeah, there was a lot of things, I think, in that cup run, and I even to this day, I mean, I see Essex senior clubs obviously got to the final last year, and everything was done to try and help them both get to the final. I mean, I remember that season, if Smallsy had been given half the assistance that other clubs would have got to the final. I remember we left for Morpeth on the Friday morning, we played away at Clapton on the Wednesday night, and in between both semi-final legs, we played 2 league games. We played a Tuesday and a Thursday between the second leg.
That's nonsense.
Because I think he'd said some outspoken things, and I didn't think that. And it's so much so that the FA got involved because the Bowers pitch had been really bad that season. We had to play the first leg at Concord.
Oh, okay.
We played at Concord. We were 2-0 down. They caused us some problems. We had, weirdly, the only team we hadn't watched in that run was Morpeth, because I was going to go there. I was going to go there on the Tuesday night, Christian. And then on the Monday afternoon, their league announced, we've postponed the game for them tomorrow night. So they didn't have. So we hadn't watched them play. We were 2-0 down. Smallsy changed it at half time. We come back to 2-2, and we went there. And to be honest with you, we went there really hostile. They widened the pitch to navigate the long throw that we had. Really hostile.
Pevers long throw.
Long throw. And to be fair, we went there, and they were a club really on the up. They'd just been taken over by a local man who'd made a lot of money in the UAE. They'd signed players from from Newcastle reserves. We went there. We played.
Because them teams have always done well.
We played all of the second half and all of extra time with 10 men. Ross Adams got sent off for 2 absolute nonsensical fouls, which were never fouls. And then in the last minute, Guesty made an error, and we ended up losing 2-1. I remember.
Out in Newcastle after.
Do you know what? It was really weird. Some of the boys did go out, and I remember there was me and a few of the others, I think Smalls as well. We didn't go out at all, even though it's paid for by the club. We didn't, mainly because I think we'd gone there, Christian, to win. We had to win. And I still remember the day, and it still makes me chuckle when I think about it. We was all on the pitch, all their supporters were celebrating on the pitch, and we were in a little huddle. Like the players were all sitting on the floor, like scattered around. There was people in tears.
Yeah, of course.
And I remember Smallsy, obviously as the manager and the leader of the group, probably felt like I've got to say something. So he like called everybody in, and people started walking over, and he went, we were top of the league, obviously. No, I think we were second or third in the league, but we had loads of games now, and we were obviously trying to win the league. And he came out saying, he went like, "Run down, boys, we've got a Port game on Tuesday." Everybody sort of looked at each other and said, "You having a laugh?" And then we went back in the change room after. I remember they were celebrating. As you would, right? Of course, as you would. Everybody sat in the change room. I promise you, Christian, for about an hour, nobody moved. Everybody sat there. And then Wayne, do you know Wayne, the kit man at Bowers?
Nah.
He came in and basically had a go at everybody. He said, "Like, can you get out? I've got to tidy up." And then we obviously that season we went on and won the.
So was that? So in that season, then obviously did you win the senior league?
Yeah, we won the senior league.
You finished that part of the job.
We played like a crazy amount of games, like 15 games.
Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.
15 games in like 28 days.
Yeah.
Like crazy, and we went on. And to be fair, I think that
I always find that ridiculous, don't you? That clubs that do well in cup competitions are then penalised. Because normally, if you're doing well in a cup competition, not always, but you're normally doing well in a league as well. But you actually you actually have to pay a price of doing well by playing 3 or 4 times a week non-league. It's always ridiculous, especially at that time of the season as well, when the pitches are like playing on the beach.
I remember like Vinnie Durant during that period literally played every minute of every game. Right. Like, he was like an absolute machine. And I remember thinking, I think it was the last game of the season. We were losing at home to Holbridge.
Yeah.
who had whacked earlier on the season and had been a little bit of bad blood during the game. They felt like we'd taken the liberties.
Right.
I think it was Holbridge. And we were losing 1-0 and Smallsy changed it and we got 2 late goals and we needed to win that game.
Right.
And we obviously got over the line, but that was a massive achievement because it was so tough, mate. I mean,
yeah, it's a lot of games.
Relentless amount of games. And then...
So they won that and then what, into the Ryman North?
Yeah, into the Ryman North. And then at the end of that season, I'd gone in there to help Smallsy. It was really only because it was Smallsy as my mate. Yeah. And then Wardy rang me in the summer and basically said to me, look...
Did they win the Ryman North that season as well? Did they go...
The following season, I think it was 2 seasons after they went. And then that following year, in that summer, Sticko rang me and basically said, look, I'm going to do another 6 months and I'm going to be stepping down.
Right, okay.
So
he was still there, what,
on his own? Yeah, he brought another assistant in and he basically said to me, look, if you want to come back in, there'll be an opportunity for you to go and be the manager.
Right.
So I spoke to the board and I basically went in and done 6 months. He stepped down, then obviously I stepped up.
Right.
And obviously, we started the journey. Some good moments.
So you was manager though at Walden when it was COVID, right? So was that a tough time to manage? Because was it in the first year you was leading?
Yeah, the first season we were leading. I think we had 5 league games left to go.
Right.
Hashtag had some games in hand on us. I think if I was being brutally honest, I reckon Christian, they would have probably just picked us, to be honest. But they still had to come to us last game of the season.
Okay. That first season that got binned, how many games left? 5
games of a 34 game season. We're top. And we'd only lost twice in the league all season. We'd been to hashtag away. But I think it was more than that, Christian, because that season the club had set me a list of objectives, and promotion wasn't one of them. One of them was they hadn't been to a cup final in 15 years.
Okay.
And at the end of the season, we'd only lost 4 times in all competitions. We lost in the Vase, in the FA Cup, twice in the league, and we'd won every other game. We'd already made 1 final of the League Cup.
Okay.
We had Burnham at home in the other semi-final. We had another semi-final of the Colson Darcy against somebody else. We'd had a phenomenal season.
Yeah.
Like probably one of the best squads I'd ever built.
Right.
Like really good.
And this is your first year. Was this your first year at Walden as well?
Yeah, it was my first season. We built a really good squad, like a proper team.
Yeah.
And that was really tough. I mean, I genuinely, at the end of that season, when they made that decision to scrap the season, I didn't have a problem if we finished second behind hashtag. Right. They was a phenomenal team building something with, a very different football team.
Different following.
Different following. But we had earned the right, I believed, to either come second or win the league. And we deserved that opportunity. We played 29 games of a 34 league game season to start the following season and then mash them together and decide who was going to get promoted was an absolute shambles. I mean, that season when COVID, Saffron Walden is a community club with quite high morals. Like, we didn't train together, Christian. Like, me, Waters and Hawksey would split the group up. Yeah. We would literally train from 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning to 1, 3 or 4 individual players, and we didn't break the rules. I'd see other clubs all training together, like normal, but we didn't do that. And I think we suffered with that on the second COVID season, and after like 12 games, they pushed it together and then decided who was going to go up, and we missed out.
So who did they send up then? Was that
hashtag and Walthamstow? I mean, we'd played Walthamstow away, and we'd played hashtag away both seasons, and we hadn't played hashtag at home at all.
Right, okay.
And I felt like it was a really unfair decision. I felt like the FA made ad hoc decisions, like you saw the situation with Concord. Yeah. They got to a trophy final, and that's not taking anything away from Scopes or Adam Drew or anybody involved there. What I'm saying is the rules were bent because it was an FA competition. They had players playing in the second season who were not even at the clubs in the first season.
It's ridiculous how they just made rules up on the spot.
Whereas we had earned the right to decide whether or not that happened. And that second season, because we'd had such a good season, we probably lost 3 or 4 of our best players. And it took us...
How would you, if looking back now, Jase, how would you think they should have resolved it better? Maybe a playoff?
I think because of what had happened, I think what should have happened is, because during that COVID season, not many players at that level moved around. It didn't because of the
because of the restrictions and stuff. Yeah.
I think what should have happened first and foremost is when the second season started, we should have finished the first season,
right?
And then if that had gone through okay,
so you finished the games that was in lieu from the first season.
Yeah,
right, okay.
However that could have looked, and then I think if they then got to the stage where they're thinking, oh, everything's normal, have a restricted league season the following season where you just play each other once.
Okay,
I think that would have been better. I don't think. And obviously, if we'd have got promoted, maybe I'd have looked at it slightly different. But when you've played 29 games over 34 season, you've earned the right to either come first, second, and that's where you. And it wasn't even so much that, Christian. What they actually done with that season was they just null and voided it. They basically said, whatever you've done for that season doesn't count.
Right.
Like I remember we'd played Cockfosters at home in the semi-final.
Right.
We beat them 2-0. Tyler Smalls got both goals. And we got to a final. I remember after the game in the bar, one of the best atmospheres I've ever had at a non-league game. Yeah. The supporters of Saffron Walden hadn't been to a final for 15 years. People like Dorsey, who, by this stage were really ill, had sort of said to me before the game, like, this would be like perfect wish for us to get to a final. Yeah. And we'd done that, and then somebody just came in and went, done. I also think, from my point of view, as a selfish point of view as manager, I think that season we would have won silverware. Even if we hadn't won the league, I think we would have won one of the cups. We were a very good side.
Right.
But we were a good side. We had a mixture of experienced players. We had Nicky Eyre in goal. We had Ross Adams.
Yeah.
We had young boys like Tiger Smalls.
Tiger Smalls, that's a success story for you. Playing in the MLS.
Yeah, playing in the MLS. When we picked him up, he was only 16 years old. People were like, what are you doing? You're bringing in a young boy into a title contention. I left Alfie Hilton out, who'd been a title winner, and brought Tiger in, and on his first game, after 10 minutes, he'd scored twice.
Yeah.
And I think we'd have won silverware. And I think people forget when they look at your managerial record and go, well, you haven't won any silverware. Well, 2 years there where we didn't play any cup games, you didn't get an opportunity, and that kind of really hurt me, to be fair, because it took 2 years after that to build another really good team in the team that obviously got to the...
Teams come in cycles, don't they?
Yeah, and obviously it took 2 years then to build that team that got to the playoff final against Whittam.
Yeah.
Probably one of my favourite teams that I've managed. A group of players very similar to me in terms of how I was a manager. It was a group that I could really provoke at times.
Yeah.
At moments when I needed it.
Yeah. I could light a fire under them.
Yeah, I mean, I had people like Wig, Gav Cockman.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a couple of times during that season, half-time in games, big games near the end of the season, where we were getting massive crowds.
Yeah.
We were getting 800 at home. I think we played Stansted, there was like 900 there. They came, people come, Sawbridgeworth come with the intention of just saying, they took centre, kicked the ball forward, and just basically stayed in the last block. Well, if you're going to beat us, you have to do it the hard way. I mean, Pitsy and Bell come and basically said to us, Redbridge were chasing us, we was ahead, we couldn't afford to drop any points, we'd won 15 straight on the bounce. They would come and went, we're going to stop you going up. They were out of the race by that point. They were like, we're going to stop you going up. And I remember at half time in that game, we'd been a little bit flat, we looked a bit nervous, and I think it was Gav Cockman dug out. I said, you bottled it. Today you've been beaten up, you're getting bottled, you're bottling it. And he went absolutely ballistic. He got up, we had a bit of a crosswords, and it was deliberate.
Yeah.
And second half, he was unbelievable.
I watched Gav had some good games.
I think with Gav, me and Gav had a very much love-hate relationship. I could really provoke him at times when I really needed him to.
Yeah.
I used to joke with him. We had a little bit of a thing where Gav really wanted to play central in that team.
Yeah.
And I used to joke, and he didn't like it, but it wasn't an element of seriousness. I used to say to him, Gav, you're an average centre forward, but you're the best right winger in the league.
Yeah.
And he didn't like that. His bravado was, no, I want to be a centre forward.
I've told him for years, obviously, go and watch your teams, that he was just such a threat out wide.
Yeah, up that hill, up the hill,
big and strong.
Strong.
It's also like he kept playing in that position. He can come on to a lot of stuff, whereas I always felt Gav's better running that way.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously as a centre forward playing in a free, a lot of the time you got your back to the goal.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that's not.
We had Craig Carver play through the middle in that team, and he was exceptional hold-up play, great touch, would bring players into games.
Won a lot of free kicks.
Won so many free kicks, clever play. And Gav was unbelievable. 60 goals in 100 games, 20 a season for 3 consecutive seasons, playing out wide. Didn't take any penalties.
Yeah, he was a
powerful. And he was a monster in the change room as well. He would be a real leader at moments where we desperately needed goals. I remember there'd be games in that run towards the end of the season. We was playing Saturday, Tuesday. Gav would come off on a Saturday, you know, and if you took him off for 5 minutes, he would not like it. And I remember games he'd come off on Saturday, he could barely walk. He couldn't even get up to get in the shower. And me and Hawks would look at each other and go, we'll have to rest him Tuesday. And then Tuesday would come, Gav would turn up. And he'd be like, no, you're not leaving me out. I'll be fine. And he made huge sacrifices. But he was somebody within the changing room. I felt like if I could get under Gav's skin, I don't know why, I'd get 10% more from the rest of the group. Because they'd kind of get around Gav and go, I think the gaffer's out of order. Like, come on, let's show him that actually you're right, Gav, and he's wrong. And we had such a good group, and obviously, I think we won 17 out of our last 18 games to make the playoff final, and then obviously
didn't really turn up that day, did you?
It was difficult. It'd been a really bad week, Christian, to be honest, because I made a misdemeanor in a Vase game earlier on the season where the ball bounced in, we're down to 10 men, and I threw it behind the dugout. And I didn't get banned for it because the FA made some sort of clerical error. And basically, I got called to a hearing, and then the referee who was in charge was not well. And it kind of got delayed. And then I still to this day wonder if it was deliberate. Literally a week on the Tuesday night after the last league game when we'd qualified for the playoff final, I got a call from the secretary saying that on the Thursday night I had to basically go on this hearing. So I was at training, we'd done all the prep, I'd gone on this hearing. I basically skipped through this hearing to get back out and watch the last bit of training, and I'd made a bit of an error. If I'd denied the charge, basically I would have been a further hearing. But because I'm very much like, I've obviously made mistakes. Sometimes I've overstepped the mark, as I've said before, but I've always been somebody that if I've done something wrong, I'll hold my hands up and say, I've done wrong. And if I haven't, then I'll fight my corner. That's the way I am. And I sort of said, and I was skipping through, and I didn't really hear what was being asked of me. And they basically said, that explain the process. If you deny it, then there'll be a subsequent hearing. I said, well, no, I did do it. What I hadn't accounted for was that if I was found guilty, they could ban me effective immediately. So as we got towards the end of the hearing, after admitting it, I suddenly realised, I swear
some of these FA things, they just make them up.
So what they'd done was, on the Thursday, they literally banned me from the game on the player final on the Saturday. And it's one of them things, it was weird, because Chrissy Taylor's assistant from Whitman's system was actually also banned. But because of
who's that, Matty Waldron, or?
No, it was Scott
Canham.
So he was banned. But because of the different rules between step 4 and step 5, he was allowed at the ground. He wasn't allowed on the pitch, but he could stand behind the dugout. I was given a stadium ban.
Even that, like, how can you get the same offence, but 2 different leagues have 2 rulings? I just think.
I had to sit. It's weird. So I knew on the Friday that
hiding the kit skip.
No. They made it abundantly clear there was a whole list of rules that I could basically, if we won, and I was in the grounds, they could forfeit the game. That is one of the rules that they basically said to me.
Ridiculous.
So I had to think one of my mates owned a pub in Whittam. So I told the boys, look, I had to lie to them and say, look, lads, I don't trust that Whittam, they couldn't be able to listen in. We're going to meet at this pub, we're going to do the debrief of before the game in this pub. So we met early on the Saturday. Obviously, all the management team already knew what happened. I'd appealed.
Couple of pints?
No, I'd had an appeal on the Saturday morning to appeal the decision. And basically they kicked it out and said, no, you can't go to the game. So I had to hand over to Hawks and Kev. I'd done the full debrief for everything. I had to tell the boys. And I remember I sat in my allotment actually on my own. Watched the game on one of the supporters videoed it and streamed it to me. And I remember sitting there helpless that I couldn't do anything. I felt like I'd let the club down, let the team down. On the morning of the game, they had sent through rules that I couldn't do. So I could go to the ground in the morning and do the setup, but I had to be left the ground by 11:30 at Whittam. I won't name him, but one of the Whittam board were very good to me. They basically knew that I was on a ban. They didn't agree with it. They thought it was harsh because obviously Scotty Cannon had been allowed to go to the game. And he said to me, look, there was a gate right outside the change rooms. He said, look, where are you going to watch the game? I said, I'm going to go and watch it from my allotment. I didn't want to break the rules. I didn't want to put if we run at risk. He said to me, look, I'm going to leave this gate open at 20 to 5. And if you've won, you can come in the changing room, go straight into your changing room. You can celebrate with your players. Yeah. As long as you stay out of the way, don't get us in trouble with the club. And if we've won, I'd appreciate that your boys are going to be going away for the summer. You're going to want a chance to
say something to them. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, I watched the game, realised that we weren't going to win.
What was the score again, Jase?
3-0. We didn't really play. I think it was difficult. We've been a team that season that had a lot of the ball. We won a lot of games, and I think we went into that game thinking we'll have a lot of the ball. They'd sit back. They obviously had Josh Asude's pace up front. Yeah. And really, that's how it went. We had a lot of the ball, but we didn't really hurt them. A few decisions. Yeah, one of the goals, counter-attack. Josh got in the channel and scored. Brilliant finish, cut inside, smashed it, top bins. But I think in that game, there was a lot of things that went against us. We didn't know who we had, so we couldn't do any prep until after it was decided. It was away at their place, which I thought was a nonsense. They'd won about 3 games all season. Yeah. You had a Ryman League official, Ollie Morris-Sanders, who put in one of the worst performances I've ever seen.
The pitch there was probably not great.
It was a disgrace. It was literally like a beach. Yeah. Ollie Morris-Sanders allowed a tackle to go on Craig Calver, which ended up being he was out for 4 months with a knee tackle, a tackle above his knee. Yeah. It should have been a red card. He didn't do anything. And they were better than us on the day. Yeah. You know, there's no crux about it. They're better. I thought the whole thing around it was a bit of a nonsense. That you had a playoff between.
Sounds a bit of a farce.
I think that season we'd won 30 games, Christian, and not got promoted. The team that had won, I think, 5 games all season, got a reprieve to stay up on a one-off game, which I didn't really like. But it was a tough summer. You know, it was it was weird. That night I flew out to Stansted on my own. I went on one holiday, 4 days on my own without the kids and Tiff. I needed to get away. I felt like I'd let them down, let the club down. Right. You know, you're helpless. You can't. You can't do anything. Sure. The whole season's work has been. You're helpless. If you and still even to this day, I don't think, if I'm honest, I don't think my presence there would have made me won the game. I'd be disrespectful to Hawksy and Kev, who done a good job. They were better than us on the day. Yeah. But as a manager, the fact that you aren't there, you still have them doubts in mind. Like, could I have made a difference?
So after that season, Jase, did you stay another season at Walden there?
Yeah, so I went away, and I always had a decision. I always had an honest chat with Vanny, and I knew that he was stepping down at the end of that season. He'd already told me that it was taking a lot of toll on him. He was very much like me. He was all in. Yeah. All in. And we had a new chairman come in who I didn't know. Yeah. Nice guy, local guy, good businessman. Jamie Sharp, I get on with him very well now. He's a good guy. Yeah. But he was very, very different from Vanny. Right. Very hands off. In the summer, I didn't speak to him at all, not once. Right. We started the season, and it kind of felt a bit weird, Christian. Like, I never spoke to him. He never made any effort to talk to me. I was like, I've been here a long time, and I don't think I think he thought there's a lot of things I need to deal with at the club. Yeah. You manage that. I'll manage that. But he never.
Looking back, do you think though that's a good way to be? Because as a manager,
I think if he was honest now, when I went back, we had a few chats around it when I agreed to return, and I think he was new to the role. He didn't really know what was expected of him. I don't think, or what he should do. Right. And it got to sort of November, December time, and I hadn't enjoyed it for a couple of months, to be honest. We'd lost some players from the year before. I felt like the board weren't showing huge amounts of ambition, to be honest. The budget hadn't changed for a couple of years. We had good crowds. You hear a lot of outside noise. Obviously, you have a bit of an inside information, because what has worked me. There was this conceived idea from outside that we had loads and loads of money. Yeah. We had the budget, same budget, all that time, £1,250, which was a reasonable budget, but was not by any stretch of the imagination the most in the league. No. That's pretty common knowledge. We were batting against some big clubs, spending way more than what we were doing.
I think now in football, most levels, the teams generally with the most amount of money are going to do.
Yeah, win the league. Right? And it got to December, and I was a bit unhappy, and I was ambitious, and I felt like I'd been a manager there probably for nearly 200 games. I'd won 60% of games, and I felt like I didn't feel like I always got the recognition there that I maybe deserved. Yeah. And I think, if I'm honest, I did. I think if you're a manager and you've won 60, at one stage you've won 63, 64% of games, that's a good record. You've won a lot of games.
Unbelievable ratio,
and I felt like I'd earned the right maybe to go, but I'd kind of made the decision I didn't want to leave during the season, and I'd probably see the season out and then I'd look for other opportunities. Sure. And then, sort of early November, my phone rang. It was Jody Brown, and he said to me, mate, are you interested in going to a club at Step 4? Yeah. I sort of said, depends who it is. He said, look, I know the Coggeshall owner, just got rid of their manager, Cliff Ackerang. He's asked me for some advice, and I've put you forward, and he'd like to have a chat with you. It was the first time ever that anybody spoken to me while I'd been a manager at Walden. Nobody had ever spoken to me. I'd never spoken to anybody else. And I made the decision that I would speak to him. I spoke to the club, and they sort of said, look, you can speak to him. Yeah. So when I spoke to him, they was in bottom position, 17 games played. They'd got 4 points. Yeah. They'd scored 7 goals.
I remember you going there, like, I know we spoke about this a couple of times, but I remember you going there and I'm thinking, what is he doing?
Yeah, I mean, I went there
because they were like marooned at the bottom.
They were dead and buried. Yeah. And I'd always backed myself along with, and I'd kind of made the decision with the boys, with Hawksy, Kev, that if we were going to go in, it would have to be agreement of all of them. I didn't want to go and do it on my own. Yeah. I spoke to Hawksy, and we went and watched them one game, and he sort of said, I think we could do this. Right. So I had a really hard decision to make, and I'd agreed that I'd go and watch. I'd go and do the Walden game on the Friday night. Yeah. And then I'd make a decision after on the Saturday I want to watch Coggeshall. We went away to Housestead. We won 4-1. Put in a really good performance, and I was really torn. Then after the game, a board member made a comment to me that annoyed me, to be honest, Christian. Probably the only time I'd ever really been really annoyed with anything. I think I'd got to the game late. I travelled back from Bristol. I'd had a family bereavement, and I didn't miss any games. Right. I didn't take any holidays during the season. Yeah. From the first day of pre-season until the last game I was there, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and every days off. I'd got to the game at about 10-7. The boys had known. I think a board member, when we were 1-0 down, made a comment to me like, "Oh, this is what happens when people turn up late." And like, you should be late. And I was like, you had no idea what I've been doing. Yeah. And it really annoyed me. And then the following day, when I saw them, I spoke to Graham, and I think that thing of being wanted, I'm going through a period at Walden where the chairman wasn't really talking to me too much. A couple of board members annoyed me. I think they always took for granted that we could do a good job with not the massive punch. You go, no, we'll just give him 1,200. He'll do a decent enough job. We'll be there or thereabouts. Yeah. And he really pushed me and said, look, give us a chance. He'd already said to me, look, if we go down, I'll give you a decent budget to
get back up.
So he swung me. Went in. We had 2 weeks. And within 2 weeks, I realised, what have I done? It's a disaster. Got in. They'd put 37 days in for players in about the last 2 weeks before they got the sack. Didn't sign anybody. Really tough. Then we got a transfer embargo just as we got some momentum. He didn't pay some fines. Graham. He'd lost a bit of interest and didn't pay the training ground. We couldn't train. While this was all going on, and there was loads of things, we'd actually developed a really good group. And we went on a really good run we went away to Felixstowe on day after Boxing Day. I remember they'd won about 13 straight away at home. We went there, we drew 3-3. We played the last 20 minutes with 9 men, and we should have won the game. We went on a really good run then. From then to the end of the year, we picked up a point a game on average. And we didn't finish in the bottom 2 relegation places. We finished in 4th bottom spot, which meant that we had a playoff. A point a game from where we came in. Yeah. To this day, at the time, I didn't look at it and go, "Wow, you've done a good job." I looked at it like at the last moment we fell short in that playoff game. I looked at it as a failure. Yeah. Looking back now, I actually say wow, what a good job we done.
Yeah,
When we went there, they were dead and buried.
Who did you lose to in the playoffs, Jay?
Some team, I can't remember their name now, from up by Lincoln Way. We didn't find out until about 3 days before who we had. Couldn't do any research on them, didn't know nothing. Josh Asood had been sent off in a last league game at Holbridge. He was banned. We didn't play that well on the day. We missed some chances at 0-0.
So is that where that when they reorged it, you had to play someone from their same step somewhere else?
Yeah, and that was miles away. Didn't know anything about them. I didn't even know who they were.
Right, and you was away to them?
We was at home. Okay. Obviously at step 4 we were. It was a lot easier for them to get footage on us.
Sure.
That was in step 5 league. I found a few bits from a couple of months before, but we literally didn't know anything. But we'd been through so much that year as a group, but you know, the last few weeks they were tough. You know, Graham decided he was not going to pay the players after the deadline. Deadline passed and basically said, I'm not paying them anymore. I remember I spoke to the players and said, look lads, I understand this is...
Deadline as in when the season finished?
No, the transfer deadline was about the 1st of April, and as soon as that done, he basically said, I'm not paying anybody.
It's a real shitty move, that.
Yeah. And I spoke to the players after training and I said, look lads, like, if you don't play, I'll understand. I'll hand in my resignation, but it'll probably leave me dead in the water. So I leant on them and I said, look, I need you to play the last 4 games. And they all agreed to play. And to be fair, they was a really good group. And if you look at that group now, 5 or 6 from at Whittam doing well. Carl Mays at Basildon doing well. Josh Taylor's at Basildon doing well. Tom Middlehurst is at Cambridge. That group that we ended up with was a really good group. And if that group had stayed together that season, the following season, we'd have done all right. We'd have done well. We didn't, and as soon as he made that move to do that, I'd made the decision I was going to go. You
can't be doing things like that.
I'd given up a lot, Christian. I'd taken on a massive task.
It's far as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it was like a lot of travelling. I wasn't really worried about the money for me, but I'm very much a man of principle. If I say something, I'm going to follow through with it. He'd broken repeated promises. He'd lost interest, I think, in the club at that time. Subsequently, he'd been relegated again. Then now at step 6,
was he the bloke that took it on after Ollie Mills?
He was like joined with Ollie. Graham had some health issues, and I think that had played a part in that. He wasn't enjoying it as much. He was no longer the manager. So I think it was, I'm putting my own money in. It's okay if I'm going to do that, and I'm the manager, but I'm doing it. Now somebody else is doing it. I don't want to do that anymore.
Bothered,
And I never felt we had a fair crack, but we done unbelievable that season. To finish 4th bottom, you watched a few games. You saw how poor that team was when we went in.
It wasn't great, was it?
But we done really well. To average a point a game, we finished with 28 points that season from having 4. We've done a good job. Obviously, I stepped down at the end of the season. And I planned to have a break really, at least till Christmas. And then obviously, I think it was sort of November time. I got a phone call. Weirdly, Jamie Sharp rang me, the Walden chairman. I thought, what do we want? And he basically rang me and said, look, I've just let Terry and Michael go. I need a favour. And I was like, right. And I was thinking probably he's going to say, look, can you step in and help for a couple of games? And he sort of said, like, what are you doing? And I said, well, nothing. He said, like, could you help me out? I was like, yeah, I can help a bit. He said, no, I want something to do it till the end of the year. I'm trying to get things how I want it with the club, and I need somebody that I feel like I can trust. And we had I went and met him for breakfast. We had quite an honest conversation about how I felt when I left. And to be honest with you, Christian, if it had been any other club at that point, I would have said, no chance. But he lent on my affinity with the club.
Sure.
And sort of said, look, can you come in and help me? We're in a difficult moment. Like
and this was last season, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were in a relegation battle. They were down near the bottom of the league. Things just hadn't really gone for Terry and Tona. And he sort of said, look, can you come back in? It was slightly difficult because obviously Hawksy and Kev had got jobs in over the summer. So it kind of meant that I'd have to go.
Where's Hawksy now?
He's not doing anything at the moment. Hawksy, Kev's still still at Whittam.
Right. Where did he go last year, Hawksy?
He was helping out at Whittam. But he's decided he's not going to carry on that this year. So I made the decision I would go back in, but I sort of said to him early on that I'll stay till the end of the season, and then after that, that's me done. I want to try and do something new. And actually, at the time, a lot of people said to me, I don't think you should go back. You know, it's never the same the second time. And it wasn't quite the same, but there was a couple of moments that I really enjoyed. You know, it was nice to help and get out of trouble. We ended up finishing 7th. And ironically, we spoke about earlier about one of the things that the club had always said was they wanted to get to a cup final. And the COVID season happened. We hadn't got to get to that final, and we got to get to a final. Actually, it was probably, if I'm without being disrespectful, was not one of our best Walden teams.
Sure.
We'd come in at a difficult moment. Recruitment was not as easy. We weren't doing so well. But we got to a cup final, and it was my last game was the cup final at Halstead. We didn't win, but actually it was actually a nice feeling that we got to it. I got to that cup final that I felt like we deserved.
Yeah.
As a club over that period, that we deserved to get to a cup final. Stanway were deserving winners on the day.
Right.
But yeah, it was great. It kind of felt like a closure.
Yeah, sure.
Of that.
Do you think this year, Jase, they might, obviously they're paying a lot of dough this year. Do you think this year they might? Because for me, I actually remember when you took over, or when Watters got involved and he said, "Oh, come and watch, give us a view." I remember it just took, joking about the tips. You think it just obviously for me, it took so long to get to. But the flip side of that, obviously they're in a niche area, and you can sort of pull in from, up Newmarket and that way, and obviously you've got the Harlow area and whatever. But they're a big football club for the level that they're at,
it's a
right?
fact.
They can get a big following. They've made a lot of improvements.
Yeah, I mean,
to the ground.
The pitch is great. The fan base is great.
But
most of the people.
It's like the last 4 or 5. Obviously, you've been involved with a lot of it. It's just missed out a little bit.
Yeah, I think if I'm honest,
because they have got a massive. I think it's well known in football now that there's a massive budget at Saffron Walden.
Yeah, this season. I mean, I don't think it'd be unfair to say. I think it's pretty obvious that they're I'm not sure that that's all coming from the club. That's certainly investment from elsewhere. It's a fantastic football club, Christian. Yeah. I had some of the best times of my life there. Yeah. I've got friendships from there. Craig, Wig, training Salts. I still see all the time. We socialise with our kids, go out together. I think what they needed to make that next step was they needed that extra little bit of investment that you do need, that Enfields have done, Wolves have done, Hashtag have done. Like when somebody comes in for one of your best players, or at the end of that season when you want to hang on to one of your best players, you need to be able to hang on to them. Yeah. That has to happen. Yeah. I think this season, certainly, they have to get up. If they don't, with what they're spending, I think they're missed. It's a great football club. Supporters are brilliant. There ain't many clubs at step 5. The season we got to the playoff final, I remember we went to Little Oakley away. We must have took 200 away fans. Yeah. They are the best fans. Home and away, care. I think one of the things that makes it special about
you and Watters. I remember watching at Southend Manor on a Tuesday night. Like, no one wants to go Southend Manor, and there was a large majority of fans there as well.
I mean, I think one of the things that's special about that club is, and it was something that I loved, is you have clubs where you go where a small band of people care about the club. Yeah. But at Saffron Walden, it was really different. It was different. I felt an air of pressure and expectancy. Unless you've been a player there and you've been around the club, people will not realise. If Saffron Walden could go to a game, play really, really well, but we draw, and it's like the end of the world, there'll be loads of noise about it. At that club, there is a massive expectation that every week you have to win. Yeah, you have to win.
Well, it's quite a big thing for the town, village, whatever you want to call it. Like, it's a lovely place to live, isn't it?
Saffron Walden is a great place.
But there's not loads to do there, right? So on a Saturday, a lot of people go and watch the football, right?
Yeah, people care. I mean, you walk through the town on a Saturday, people will stop you. Yeah, and they will ask you. We got to be available today. Supporters really want to talk to you. They care about the club. There's an expectation. You'll get criticism if you don't win. And I think that's what made it good, and that's what enjoyed me. I enjoyed that level of pressure to like there was people that cared.
It's a big football club for that level, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a fantastic, and I really hope people have to say, do you don't want them to get up? Yeah, no, don't be stupid. I want them to go up. Yeah. They deserve to be at step 4. Yeah, that is a proper football club with proper people who proper care about the club. Some really good people there, and I hope they do. Yeah, hope they do get up, and there'll be no more deserving club to be at step 4 than them. They would be a real force at step 4. I think if they got to step 4, I think people would
snowball.
Yeah, I think people would really want to go play there because they'd see what a great ground it is, what great supporters, their crowds would definitely go up. And I think it would be, the Sky, with a right team there winning games, you could get 500, 600, 700 people there every week. And that's a great place to.
It's one of them though where you have to think about your recruitment, right? Because it is a little bit out on its way.
Yeah.
So you have to think about, as you say, pulling players in from different areas. But as we're up to current day, Jason, we're either going to get overshadowed by some social influencers or some mums on their morning or Battersea Dolls Home. Now, as I say, we touched on it earlier. What would you hope for the future, or what sort of opportunity would you like to get your teeth into?
I think there's probably two things, Christian. Really, I think if I had an opportunity, the right opportunity, I certainly am not going to rush into any decisions. I've had a couple of people call me.
Yeah.
I think I've learned from the last, from the Coggeshall experience, it's got to be the right thing.
Yeah.
That's important to me. I don't want to get into a car crash. No, that won't be good for me. I don't think it'll give the best of me. I think if a management opportunity comes up, then I'll be keen to take it.
Yeah.
But also,
at the same time,
if an opportunity came up with somebody I respected and sort of said, look, I want you to come in as a number 2.
Yeah.
Then I probably would, to be honest. I'm not one of the ones. I'm not set in that. It has to be this role.
Yeah.
I've done quite a lot of roles. I enjoyed being an assistant. I think I'm a people person. I'm pretty trustworthy. I'm hard working, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think I'll just see what comes over in the next few months. See what opportunities come up. I'm going to be out watching games.
So just depending on what the level, what the opportunity.
Yeah. The person who it is. I mean, if Smallsy called me next week and said he'd got a job and he wanted me to go and help him, I'll go and help him because he's somebody I respect. If Rod wants me to carry on doing this for him, then I'll carry on doing that until something comes up. I don't think when you're out work you can be set in stone about what you want to do.
No.
And I think it's more about an appreciation in the role that you're doing is important.
Yeah.
Because I think you can be too transfixed sometimes on this is what I want to do, but you can be a manager and not in a good environment, and it won't be good for you as if you could maybe go into a club as an assistant in the right environment, then actually you can show what you can do.
I think I've said it before. I think people now get sort of transfixed on just getting back in as early as possible, and they end up going back in at the wrong opportunity in the wrong place, and then a month down the line the same thing happens and you're looking again.
Yeah, and I don't want to be doing that. I mean, I think over the time I've been a manager, 3.5 years at Long Melford, obviously a crazy amount of time at Saffron Walden. Obviously only a short stint at Coggeshall. I am somebody that if I'm in a role, I want to give the best of myself.
Sure.
And I'll give 100% to any role that I do. So the right opportunity is going to be more important for me than just any opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, I do miss Saturdays. I think Tiffany will probably be glad if I'm out of the house more on a Saturday. She really doesn't like football, Christian, mainly because she knows, obviously, when you've been a manager, you can go home and take the bad moods that you have
100%.
on her and the kids, and you can be grumpy around the house. You don't like that. But for me, it'd just be about if I get the right environment and the right opportunity, I'll be happier.
Yeah.
And that's important. You're not doing it for the money, so happiness is important.
Sure.
Sure.
So. Well, you got your business, you've got outside interests, you've got a family. Before we wrap this up, Jase, would you say that you've learned a lot over your managerial sort of journey and career, that you're one of them people that continuously learns, continuously pulls from other people, and that obviously makes opportunities better when they come around? Or do you think now you've come out of the game, you've got a sort of a fresh enthusiasm for it? Like what do you think you'll bring to the table going back?
I think any period out of the game could give you a good opportunity for reflection.
Yeah.
You can learn new skills, you can watch things, you can learn from people. I think as well, a break can give you a real appreciation. I think sometimes, and I think I spoke to Craig Edwards in the week, just to check in, see how he was doing. Obviously left just after a long spell, just right. And it was weird. Craig said something to me, which I thought was really interesting, and it was something actually that crossed my mind is, when you've been doing football for a long time, are you doing it? And Craig, I said to Craig, you're going to look to get back in, and he sort of said, I'm going to take some time away to evaluate. Do I love football and I still want to carry on doing it,
or is it a habit?
Yes.
Yeah.
And am I doing it just because I've always done it?
100%.
And one of the things that when I've had breaks before that I've found probably difficult, and that's probably true, is when you're a manager, your phone rings all the time. Players will ring you for chats, managers will ring you, people will ring you, ask your opinion on teams, games, scenarios, whatever. When football's been the only thing you do over a long period, you don't realise how, when all your friends are football friends, you don't speak to them as much because you're not doing football anymore.
100%.
You have to find something to fill that void. You know, when you're out the house Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday every week, what do you do on them nights if you're not doing football? And it's. Mate,
I think that's a great point, because even if I think from a selfish point of view myself, like looking now, like my missus will say to, Charles will say to me now, why are you still playing vets? Because like I love football more now than I ever. And probably for a long time of my non-league career, I played football because it was a habit. I didn't know what else to do on a Tuesday, and also doing it because you want that brown envelope at the end of the week. You're getting some cash for it. So I think that re-evaluation is a really, really good thing. Just before we close, Jase, is there one or two things that, even obviously you've got a recruitment company, it could be from there or from management, is there one or two things that or quotes or anything that you sort of use in their everyday life or football?
I think no. I think one of the things that probably people are guilty of me, of perception of people that don't know me. They'll see me on the sideline. On the sideline, I can be quite loud. I can be a bit outspoken at times. I'm highly competitive. I think if you look over my managerial career, though, a lot of players have played a lot of games under me. Who
I found the more personable side.
Like, turned down much better money than I could pay them to play for me. That's generally because I think if you get to know me outside, off the touchline, I'm kind of the kind of person that do anything for anybody. I kind of live my life by the, I will stick my head, like me and Josh. I'll probably use Josh Asude as a good example. Me and Josh are very different, but obviously when I was at Coggeshall, Josh was subject to, to racism again. Quite a hard stance. I was quite outspoken about it. I said, look, I don't care if we lose the points. And I'm not gonna tolerate this. And he kind of said to me after that, he said, look, you didn't have to do that. And I said, no, I'm very much like, if you're going to give me everything you've got, I'll give you that in return.
100%.
And that personable side is the side of me that a lot of people probably don't always get to see, because they don't know you well enough. And I think I just try and live. I just try and be as good a person as I can be. I take that from work, football, my friends. If they ask me for stuff, I'll always try and help them. I'll try and see the good in people, even if sometimes they let you down. I'll see the good in people. And I think that's just how you have to live your life. And if people then let you down, that's more a reflection of them than you. I can look in the mirror every day and go, actually, that person, I've done my best by them, even if they then let me down or they don't. But I also think I've evolved. I'm still fairly young as a manager, 42, but I've got quite a lot of experience now. I think you evolve and you see 100%. Difference, and you learn 100%. And you understand different players. Players are different now from what they were 10 years, 12 years ago. You have to manage them differently. Social media is huge. The players are less like me. I mean, if I hadn't got an injury, I'd still be playing vets now. I don't think I'd have gone into management. I'd still be playing, because my love of the game is, I love managing, but I love playing more. But
players I'm not able totally different now, right?
I'm not able to play. So, I mean, I remember one of my breaks, one of my gaps, I went and played Sunday morning for my mate's team, and then I broke my leg again. That's just stupid, because I wanted to play. I wanted to be involved. So you have to evolve. You have to try and be the best person you can be. And hopefully, when I get an opportunity again, I'll be able to show people that I've changed and developed and deserve an opportunity. And we'll see what happens.
I think if you can, I think with everyone, right though, you have to continue to evolve. You have to continue to tweak things. But I also think you touched on a good point. Like, I think it's good to have two different personalities. Like you made a note about sort of your wife. Like my wife always said, like she didn't come watch me play football because she thought I was quite vile at football. But it's because I think I didn't realise until I was released at 17, 18, whatever, that you can be horrible on the front foot. You can be sort of aggressive, and then be your normal person when you step over the white line. That's something I've tried to sort of impose in my boy, that you can be the nicest kid in the world beforehand in the bar, but when you get over that white line, you've got to kind of be a different personality, because it is, football, sport, it's dog eat dog, right?
Yeah.
And as long as, I think, for looking at you, I think as long as you can maybe tweak your, or just maybe manage, as we say, those moments better, I think you've got a massive amount to offer. You've got a lot of experience in non-league. You've got a massive contact book. Like I think you're widening your sort of skill set with the scouting,
sure,
and the youth sort of scouting. So, mate, I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
Hopefully, we see you back in the game soon. And yeah, I wish you all the best, and I hope you keep enjoying the game. In the meantime, Jase, I think you've got a lot to offer, and I really appreciate your time today, mate.
Thanks, Christian.
All the best, yeah? Take care.